close. There we go. We're back together.
Yay. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah. I have no good reason. Just how it happened.
There wasn't. Life was just crazy, so we had to do them separate for a couple times. But anyway,
we're back. Okay, friends.
Hello. Welcome back. We're at episode number 96 today. I can't believe it. We are almost to 100.
I know. This is super exciting.
We should do a big fun something on episode 100.
100 reasons. Oh my gosh, I did this for our 20th wedding anniversary. 20 reasons why he's so lucky to be married to me.
100 reasons why you guys are so lucky to have us. No.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe something else. But we'll think of something. Something useful.
So she speaks the truth.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys so much for all the amazing reviews you have been leaving us. They are so sweet and so tender.
Sometimes they make me cry.
Yes.
I cry easily, but
Yes, but it's beautiful.
They do still.
It's not an ugly cry.
No.
It's a pretty cry. So today, for something fun, we said we would do this randomly. We are giving away, drum roll please.
Oh, yeah. One of my math art books. I'm super excited to give one of those to you guys. And to enter this giveaway, just head over to the Called to Homeschool Instagram page.
No? We're giving it to one of our reviewers.
Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry,
we really did talk about this.
We kind of did.
Okay, so this is who's getting it. So keep giving us reviews because coming up, you'll win other things. Yes, Karen,
right.
You're on board?
Right.
Okay, Karen is here. So this lucky person, DM us on Instagram, a Called to Homeschool with your address, and we'll get it shipped to you.
Yes.
Karen's amazing book, the Science book.
Math art. But science art is coming next. That's the one I'm working on right now.
We really did talk to each other before we hit record.
We know some things about each other.
Okay, this is going out to Carrie, and I'm guessing G.
Jerry Gee?
Jerry Gee.
G-E-E.
Yeah.
Jerry Gee. You left a review for us, and you are the winner of this book. But we have to get your information to be able to give it to you.
Yeah, so send us a DM on Instagram at Called to Homeschool. But Carrie said, this podcast has turned into my go-to podcast as I grow through my first year of homeschooling. Karen and Meg communicate loads of information very effectively. Learning to homeschool and expanding your breadth can be very overwhelming. But these two ladies break it down so easily. It becomes a breath of fresh air and so inspiring. They're truly bringing joy to the homeschool realm. I recommend this podcast to someone at least twice a month.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was such a beautiful and touching review. That was one that kind of made me cry a little bit, I'll be honest. Very sweet and very thoughtful, and we appreciate that so much. And we're begging for more reviews. So we love you guys. If you love us, give us a review.
Yeah, we had some awesome Instagram shares last week. So keep those coming. It helps people
to find us
and help them. I'm only finding more people are homeschooling with what's going on in the world with not only COVID, but like bills being passed, executive orders being thrown
things
out
happening in the school systems. Yes.
Yeah. So send us reviews. 5-star reviews. Carrie wins an awesome book from Karen, and keep sending them because we'll be giving away more things for the weeks to come. Okay, we are really excited to talk about this. Maybe I'm super duper excited to talk about this.
I think it's a great topic.
But it's why is this a problem?
Yeah.
And this is something that is coming up a lot in coaching. My kid is so distracted. Their handwriting is sloppy. My kid doesn't like school. My kid doesn't want to do school. Have your children ever said any of those, Karen?
All of them,
or
many times.
Yeah, or you're like, you have your own worries and concerns.
For sure, yeah. And I often take them and I think, oh, well, am I the problem?
Yeah.
I turn it on me, and I think, well, does it reflect on me? Is it because I'm not doing a good job as a homeschool mom? Is it because I'm teaching it in a really boring way, or I need a new curriculum, or, what are all these things that I'm like, is it me?
Yeah.
So no, it's not. You're not the
problem. We're gonna help you dive in today of why is that a problem, and we're gonna use handwriting specifically for some of the things. And I love this. What Karen's gonna share about digging into the why. So like, why is that a problem?
There's this, I don't know, little thing called the 5 whys of problem solving, and it's asking why 5 times until you get to the real root of a problem or a situation. And this kind of stood out to me because I remember when my sister was going through a life coaching program and she needed people to practice on. She called me up and we were chatting and having a life coach session, which is what Meg does also.
Yay.
And she's so good at it. Anyway, it was a really cool thing. It was the first time I had ever done anything with a life coach or learned anything about it. And so it was new to me. And she was asking me questions about my dreams and my goals and what I wanted to accomplish in my life and in work. And she really stretched me and pushed me in areas that, honestly, I remember feeling a little bit uncomfortable where I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer those things. But she just kept asking why and going deeper and getting more detail out of the things that I was answering. And it was really great for me because it helped me to work through and to get to the root of what are my real desires and goals in life and why do they matter to me and why is this important? And when you understand just the whole root of it all, it just makes everything so much easier to understand, so much more clear. So it was a really enlightening thing for me to do. And I was thinking on that, and my goal at that time was to write a book. And it's kind of cool as I think back, and I don't know how many years ago this was, but I'm on my second now. And so that was cool to me that, hey, I had accomplished that big lofty goal. And
now you're going to tackle it again.
Yeah, it's neat.
So I love that, like digging in, because if I asked you children's sloppy handwriting comes up more than you'd think.
Yeah.
Asking you why is it a problem? It's like, well, it's sloppy. Like, okay, yes, why is that a problem?
Because you can't read it?
I can't read it.
Yeah.
Okay, why is that a problem? And it's that digging in, and it usually ends up being like, I'm afraid that I have failed, or I'm afraid that my child is going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you dig it down to its very core, it's of the fear of one of those things. And like you said, you turn it onto yourself.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm failing. Or they're like, my kid won't succeed in life.
Yeah. I was telling Meg about this. We're signed up through a charter program that gives us state funding for our homeschool. So because of that, my kids have to do these reading tests twice a year, the dibbles, I think they're called. Anyway, my youngest was doing one just a couple of weeks ago. And when I got her score back, she was below the grade level reading level. And I instantly start panicking. I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? She's 7. She should be reading better. Why isn't she up to this level? My other kids are such good readers. And I start worrying inside. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't talk to my kids and tell them they were failing. I didn't do any of that. It was more just like, what's going on inside? What do I need to do differently? I need to buy this new book and this new thing or whatever. And I start going through panic mode of, homeschool mom panic mode. We all do this, right? It's not just me. I've done it so many times over the last, 12 years. How many? I don't even know. Anyway, and I recognized it this time. And I was like, stop it. You know what you're doing. You've taught 3 other kids to read. You've seen the process. You know that she'll get it. And you've seen progress in her this year. And actually, since writing this out and having that panic day, she's actually doing a lot better already. Yeah. Like she's kind of starting to connect and click, and it's getting easier for her. And I knew that would come, but I still let myself go there. I don't know. Why do we do that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I actually talked to, it was somebody who was doing a consult, like just a free consult, like curious about what I did. And she was talking about this fear with her kid with reading, right? And so what's interesting is then when we are in that fear mode, we are not showing up the way we want to show up.
So right? True.
Because then she yelled at him, like, come on, get your crap together. Or she was really angry and forcing him and doing all this stuff. And so he was just out. And so we did one little session and we talked again. And she goes, you'll never believe it. I backed off and quit making it a problem. And he's reading. She was like, this was a kid who she was concerned had learning disabilities. Is he dyslexic? Like all these fears going on. And she just backed off. Like, I can't ruin our relationship over this. And so how interesting to get out of that space of fear.
I had to do that with my oldest with writing. Not necessarily his handwriting, but the physical act of writing to him was torture. Yeah. And he hated it so much. He's a lefty. And has the ugliest handwriting I've ever seen. Like, I can barely read it, and he's 16. So, go back to the sloppy handwriting thing.
It's Karen.
It's horrible. I'm sorry, sweetie, if you ever listen to this, but he knows it. I can still barely read his handwriting. Anyway, he hated writing. so much that we took a year off where I was like, okay, just tell me what that should say. Instead of making him write things out, we did everything verbally or typed it. And that year, he kind of just got over it. And then the next year, I was like, all right, do your handwriting or, whatever. And it wasn't even like a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me. I just backed off. And that was from some advice of another wise homeschool mom when I asked her. And she was like, then don't have him write. I'm like, you can't do that. Can you?
I know. That's so funny how many times people say stuff like that. They hate it. I'm like, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever seen the commercial with the lady with the nail in her head?
Yes. I love that one.
And she was like, listen to me. My sweaters are getting caught. I have a headache. And he's like, if you would just take the nail.
She's like, that's not the thing. Yeah. It's so funny. I love that commercial so much.
Yes. And so it's like, why are we doing this? So it's interesting if you're looking at this and like where we go down this rabbit hole of all this fear and all these terrible things, like, do you know anybody who's successful with terrible handwriting? Yeah,
I
like
think most
everybody,
doctors, right? Isn't
yeah.
it like
is there a doctor?
given for a doctor to have horrible handwriting?
They have a class, like, here's how to scribble everything, right? Like, maybe the poor pharmacy techs, like, have to learn doctor shorthand. Like, ooh, I'm pretty sure this says this.
Just type it, please.
Right? And so it's like, we decide in our mind that it's a problem, but if you would just step back, like, I think of my husband is successful, and he has really sloppy penmanship. And yet he is thriving, and he's married and has a family, and he's successful in his business.
Yeah.
And so it's like we get so nearsighted that this is like they'll never get married, they'll never make it into college, they'll
never have a job because their handwriting's so ugly.
Yes, and I just think especially where we live in an age of technology. And like, yes, we could do a whole episode on the beauty of cursive and penmanship.
Can I tell you a funny story about
Yes, please.
So when we took him to get his license, back to my teenage son.
Yeah.
He has to sign.
Oh my gosh, and you're like...
He can't.
He did an X.
He's like, Mom, I can't sign. Like, he won't write cursive. Like, he refused ever, and so he can only print. And I was like, then just write your name. And he's like, that's not a signature. I'm like, that's all you can do. And so he like does his sloppy name, and I'm like dying.
That's so funny.
But I think he was embarrassed enough too that he was like, well,
it's all in cursive.
Sorry,
so
I love
funny.
my son.
He's great. He and my daughter are actually going on a date. Did you know that?
I heard that.
Yes. Super exciting.
Ooh.
I know. We're matchmaking over here. Except my daughter's a giant.
She's a lot taller than him, probably.
Yeah, she's hit 5'10" plus.
He's 5'8", I think.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
I have giants for children.
She's gorgeous. She's like model.
Well, yeah, she's a pretty girl, but Brendan, like, he's so awesome. So I was like, she was like, Brendan, then you're going out. I was like,
it's fun.
I'm not mad.
No, they're great.
Please do. Okay, anyway, if our kids don't get married, she's older than he is too. Older, taller, all the things.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to why this is a problem. Handwriting. So if you look at this, like, all these fears you have coming up, what if you're wrong? Like,
what if it's not a problem?
What if it's not a
lead
problem?
To failure?
What if it is their perfect journey? And I think we've talked about this book, Mistakes That Worked.
Oh, yeah.
Like the soap.
Good one.
Like the soap floating was a mistake.
And chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies.
They're not
potato
a mistake.
chips.
Those are perfection.
That was
It's
inspired.
like my favorite food.
Is it really? I didn't know that. I thought
favorite
peanut
treat.
butter.
My favorite treat is a chocolate chip cookie.
With not peanut butter?
Well, I love peanut butter.
I love food. You love peanut butter.
I love raspberries. I love peanut butter. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a distraction today.
Karen's got the giggles. Usually it's me that's giggly. I'm like all business today. It's okay. I always love Karen. Okay, so let's imagine, like, you cannot tell the future. You are 100% off. Like, you have no idea. Nobody knew COVID was going to shut down everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even those of you who are in our faith of LDS Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and our prophet was like, eat your vitamins, and like he was super cute, like, this next conference is going to be different. He was like, oh, I had no idea that it was going to be this different, right? So like, here he is, he has the gift of revelation, he's this beautiful, amazing man, and he was like, oh, this was a doozy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell the future. You do not know that this is a problem. Because what if you're going to play the what if game, I like to do both sides. Like, well, what if they can't sign their name to, like, sign a legal document? what if
they accepted it?
Yeah. So apparently it didn't matter. Your kid can write it.
He's probably not the only one that can't write in cursive. So
yeah, because I don't think they teach cursive anymore, do they? Oh, okay. So what if your kid's sloppy handwriting allows them to invent something absolutely amazing because it was such a hassle for them? Right.
You know what I love? I always heard that Einstein had the messiest desk ever, and that creative minds. And maybe I've said this before because
I don't know that you have.
It speaks to me because creative minds are usually messier. And if you would ever see my desk, you would just die. It's terrible. Or the desktop of my computer. My husband, every time he sees it, he's like, oh, you can't stand it. I'm a mess on my computer and on my desk. Anyway, and I love that. I heard that about Einstein, and I was like, that's really cool because he's such a brilliant person, yet he's surrounded by mess, but that's how it works for him.
Yeah. So it's like, why is this a problem? And like what are you making it mean? And all these things. Like, he's a failure. I'm a failure. She's a failure, right? Like, all these things. So it doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation about it, right?
Yeah.
This is like your kid, like, I can't read your handwriting, so it doesn't mean you can't have a conversation about it. But if you remember a couple weeks ago, I did an episode about force negates learning. So as you try to force them, like, you should like handwriting. The Declaration of Independence is written in cursive, and you cannot read it, and it is beautiful. And I even think the beauty if you read
I love her cursive writing.
Like old family history documents.
Yeah.
It's like pretty.
They're
like,
beautiful.
What in the world?
It reminds me also of that phrase from the TJ ad, inspire, not require. And I think that that's huge here too, because sometimes it's just like about showing them there is beauty, and if you're interested, come along. And if you don't force it upon them, then they're not going to feel this like awfulness about having to do it.
Yes. So I wanted to leave you guys. Do we have 4 tips?
Sure.
Yeah. 4 tips of when something pops up and you're like, this is a problem. Of 4 different things you can do instead of freaking out, having a meltdown, yelling at your kid, yelling at yourself, right? Like trying to do something different.
Yeah.
So tip number 1 is just getting curious. Getting curious. I wonder why their handwriting is so sloppy. I wonder why they don't like certain subjects. Like if they're like, I hate math. Like, I wonder why they hate math. And sometimes you find out it had nothing to do with math, but had something to do with the program.
I was talking on the episode that I recorded with Rich. It'll be last week when you guys hear this, but it was today. But we were talking about anxiety and how my son, Burton, he said anxiety and ADHD often go together because they have all these, struggles with focus, and then they get in trouble for not finishing things because they're so distracted all the time. And that's the case with Burton. Like he can rarely complete things because he's so distracted all over the place. And I feel like I forgot where I'm going.
Curious.
Oh, like why he doesn't like a certain subject. Okay, so like for instance, math is really tough for him. And I honestly think math is hard for him because math isn't hard. Like he can do it when he sits down and focuses, but he has a hard time focusing on it. And so that's the issue, is that it takes so much energy for his brain to focus on it for so long that it's become the worst part of his day. And so for him, there's a reason, there's a why. And that doesn't mean anything about the math that we're doing or anything like that. It's more just about the fact that he struggles there.
Yeah. Another question, and I think you were talking about this when you were wondering when a kid didn't like something, like, could I make this more fun?
Yeah.
Could I switch something up? And then when you're calm, and I have that like in parentheses, because if you are fired up, it is a bad time to have a conversation. But getting curious, if you're really coming from this place of curiosity, asking them, why are they doing what they're doing? Why don't you like it? Why is your handwriting sloppy? Like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I have a son who holds a pencil, quote unquote, the incorrect way.
The wrong way. Yeah, like
and
anyway.
Yes,
I always was wrong too.
It's like 4 fingers. Like I watched him the other day.
Oh, funny.
And I thought, like, I was trying to even think, like, how do you hold a pencil like that?
That's funny.
But we tried when he was little, got all the little special nubby things. What are those called?
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of them. I do. Yeah.
And he was just like, I just don't care, and it's easier for me this way. And I was like, why? Yeah,
if it
fantastic.
works, it works, right?
He's 14 and he's thriving.
Yeah, he can write.
But he can type, like, too. There's so many different things. Yeah. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2
is it true?
Yes, thank you, Karen. I love that's a Byron Katie phrase. Like, is it true?
Uh-huh.
And is it true that their handwriting is sloppy? So I'm gonna call it Karen, right? She's like, this is the worst handwriting I've ever seen with Brennan. Like, is it the worst?
Probably not the worst ever, but it is hard to read. And if he slows down, he can do it.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't care.
But like when we have those blanket statements that are like all encompassing, it's the worst, the hardest, everything. You know what I mean? Like, is that true?
Yeah.
Are there times where his handwriting is good? Yep, when he slows down, right? So just interesting to kind of question that. Can you find times when they put more effort into their handwriting, which you already just did?
Yeah.
Okay, you can say tip 3.
Tip number 3, I get to say it. Praise. And I like this one a lot. I think this is really important just to not focus always on the negative, because we do that so much as moms. When our kids are always around us, we're like, well, you didn't, da, 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 da. But instead, look for the good and try to give them more positive than negative attention.
Yes. And so to me too, it's pointing out like when he writes well. So like I totally, like, you signed this the other day and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So pointing out, and maybe that, like, who says you have to be a master at handwriting? So why not, like Brandon, we've talked about his ability to read books.
He's got some pretty awesome other strengths. So
yeah, so
I don't worry too much.
Right. And I know you're not. I'm just using him as an example because I like the kid. I'm letting him date my daughter. They haven't even got out, and I'm like, they should get married. Oh my gosh, could you imagine if Karen and I
Wouldn't that be crazy? We get to be related or something?
But it would be great. Then
family reunions.
Then our grandkids for sure would all have to be homeschooled. At least that family. But like pointing out when they're like Brandon pointing out like, oh, you are so great at reading. That is so cool that you read these books. Like, can you imagine if somebody did that to you, an area that is a weakness for you, and it was like, holy crap, get it together.
Yeah.
Like, Meg, you have sweatpants on.
How does that make you feel when that's all that's pointed out, right?
Yes. Like, if your husband came home and was like, oh my gosh.
Do you ever clean anything?
Yes.
What's wrong with you, lady?
But I homeschooled all these children.
Why is dinner disgusting?
And they're all fed. And you know what I mean? And you're like grasping at straws here, and then yet we turn around and do it.
We do.
To our kids. So, like, I think my husband would say that once to me, but he wouldn't say that. But like I totally wouldn't like it if he came home and was like, Meg, let me tell you what you did wrong today.
No.
And
he wouldn't do that, though.
He would not. We have a good ambiotic relationship with that. Like, you don't tell me what to do, and I won't tell you what to do.
Right.
Is that the right word?
I think symbiotic.
What's ambiotic?
I don't know. It sounds like Ambien.
Oh, maybe
I don't know.
All right.
We're going to look that one up.
Cohesive relationship.
Cohesive is good.
Hey, I like this one. Tip number 4. Look at the big picture. So I really care about the way my lawn looks. And when we got our first house when I was pregnant with my 3rd kid. So like had her, we got our yard and we're so excited. I kept having children, so I'm always pregnant or had a baby on my back. And I'm like, just mow the lawn. And he was like, I just don't care. And I'm like, please just mow the lawn for me. And like one day he finally goes, oh my gosh, Meg, are we not going to make it to heaven because our lawn's a little bit unkept? And I was like, no, like I had made such a big deal out of this lawn being mowed. And so finally I'm like, why do I keep asking him? I'm the one who cares, right? But anyway, that's beside the point. So looking at the big picture, in 10 years, is it a problem that they think math is stupid or that they don't like something? In 5 years, in a year, in a month, tomorrow, is it a problem if they say, like, this is dumb? Just to kind of being able to step back.
Not really. And you know what I think about? Like, your kids hate a subject. Did you?
Right.
Did you struggle? That's another good one. Did you have any problems when you were growing up or still?
I was going to say.
We all do, right?
Yeah.
All the time. And so just because your kids have flaws or have dislikes doesn't mean that they're failing.
But what a perfect example, because you were saying you didn't like math. You wrote a math book.
I did.
And in a form with art involved into it. Perfect example of Karen not enjoying something and taking that and making it like, but here's a fun way.
Here's a beautiful way to do it so you can learn to love it. And that's what I did in the process.
But your whole website is that. Of like, make it fun. Make it this exciting. Make it creative.
Well, and that's what I was talking to my husband about this the other day. He's like, why do you do your blog? What is it that you love about it?
Uh-huh.
And the root of what I love about it is that I can share ideas to make learning fun, because I want kids to love learning. I want my kids to love learning, and I do it initially for them, but I want to help other people get that same love because I see the beauty in learning. And so I think anytime you can do that with anything for your kids, find a way to make it beautiful. It doesn't have to look the same as it does in a school or in a textbook or in a curriculum book or anything. Make it beautiful so that they find the beauty in it. And that was something else that my little Burton, who I was saying struggles with doing his math, he wants to be an engineer. And I was talking to him about it the other day, and he was like, why do I need to know this? Why this? It was something, I don't remember what. And I said, actually, you want to be an engineer, right? And he's like, I do. I'm like, this is used in engineering. It was rays, lines and rays.
Oh, okay.
He's like, it is? I'm like, yeah, it is. He's like, all right, then I really want to learn it.
Oh, that's
and it was
adorable.
so cool to me that was his reaction. Like, often kids are like, so I'll learn it later or whatever. But it made him instantly care. And I thought that was really cool.
Okay, friend. So when your kid tells you this is stupid, or you look at their work and they're writing numbers and letters backwards, or, I mean, obviously severe dyslexia aside, but like repetitively making little mistakes like that, stop and ask yourself, why is this a problem? And dig to the core of it. And try these tips of being able to step back and all these things and make homeschool much more enjoyable for the both of you.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great week.
Wait, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review with an awesome...
And Carrie G, or G, however you say your name, find us. And
send us a DM with your address, and we will get you Karen's awesome book.
Yes. Bye-bye.
See you guys.